Okay, let's jump right into this explainer and unpack a really fascinating biohacking script. It promises to solve something I see all the time as a medical researcher, and that so many patients struggle with, the dreaded chronic 2 p.m. fatigue crash. I find the claims coming out of the longevity community absolutely fascinating, especially when they zoom in on our foundational biology. So if you're someone who feels like you're aging twice as fast as you should, or if you're just constantly battling this heavy exhaustion that totally derails your day, you're definitely going to want to pay close attention to the breakdown we've got for you today. We're looking at a very popular protocol for mitochondrial optimization, and we're going to deconstruct exactly how the source claims it works. Right out of the gate, the source draws this stark contrast between a pretty grim daily reality and an ultimate biological promise. On one side, you have absolute exhaustion and brain fog. Now, in my research and clinical observations, I constantly talk to patients with persistent chronic fatigue who just assume, well, this is an unavoidable part of getting older. But on the other side of this is the promise of high energy and razor-sharp focus. The promotional script we're analyzing argues that this massive contrast, it actually isn't about age at all. It's entirely about what's happening on a microscopic level inside your body. The script points out that most of us are actually stuck in what it calls a cellular energy crisis. And think about our common daily habits that actually worsen this cellular depletion, right? Endless doom scrolling for those cheap dopamine hits, taking desperate post-lunch naps that ruin our sleep drive, or relying on 4 cups of coffee just to artificially jolt the nervous system. The text introduces a really profound shift in perspective here. When you hit that wall, your motivation is not the problem. You aren't just being lazy. Actually, you're dealing with a failure of your biological hardware. Caffeine is literally just a temporary band-aid masking deep cellular stress. Now, if we want to understand energy, we have to talk about mitochondria. You probably remember from high school biology that these are the power plants of your cells. Their main job is producing ATP, which is basically the foundational energy currency for your entire body. The source material makes the case that if you are suffering from persistent fatigue, it's simply because these microscopic power plants are failing to generate enough ATP to keep up with your daily physical and mental demands. I absolutely love this quote from the text because it perfectly captures the core biological claim we're examining. If they're sluggish, you're sluggish. It elegantly simplifies a very complex physiological reality. Things like chronic fatigue, having zero motivation, or that heavy brain fog, they aren't character flaws. They don't mean you just need to try harder. According to this biohacking perspective, they are direct, measurable symptoms of low ATP and cellular stress. If the power plants in your cells don't have the fuel to run the machine, your whole system just powers down. Moving on to the next section, the optimization stack, biohacking cellular energy. Let's see how they fix this. Okay, so here is the exact breakdown of their advanced formula. It relies on a very specific ratio of CoQ10, PQQ, and alpha lipoic acid. From a clinical perspective, here's the biological breakdown of how the source claims this works. CoQ10 acts as the essential spark plug. It literally carries electrons to generate ATP inside the cell. Meanwhile, PQQ is fascinating because it stimulates something called mitochondrial biogenesis. That means it actually helps your body grow entirely brand new mitochondria. So, combined with alpha lipoic acid, this stack doesn't just give you a temporary buzz, it provides the raw compounds to structurally rebuild your energy at a DNA level. The script actually describes taking this advanced formula as, quote, basically like giving your cells a software update. And honestly, that is such a brilliant way to frame human biology. It treats the body like a really complex piece of technology that you can optimize and upgrade if you just input the right nutritional code. So instead of just accepting this cellular energy crisis as an inevitable part of modern life, the anti-aging community views it as a system error. And it's an error that can be effectively debugged with targeted metabolic support. All right, section 3, the 30-day recovery timeline. Let's look at tracking these physical changes. To back up its claims, the source maps out this exact chronological timeline over 4 weeks. We see this clear progression starting at day 7, where the primary benefit is mostly cognitive. Then by day 15, it shifts toward physical recovery, all the way up to day 30, which promises a combo of laser focus and actual visible aesthetic changes, like better skin. It moves seamlessly from immediate cognitive relief to long-term physical anti-aging effects. Let's quickly zoom in on each of these specific milestones. According to the user experience outlined in the script, the very first major milestone hits right at day 7. The claim is that after just 1 week, the brain fog lifts entirely and the need for those desperate post-lunch naps completely disappears.
The implication here is that by supplying your mitochondria with that CoQ10 and PQQ stack, your cellular energy output stabilizes enough to essentially cure that dreaded 2 p.m. crash. Your brain finally has the sustained ATP it needs to stay sharp all day long.
Then we hit day 15, and the focus dramatically shifts to physical vitality. The text claims, quote, faster muscle recovery, changed workouts, and feeling 10 years younger. And structurally, we know that optimized cellular energy translates directly to how well your muscles recover themselves after physical stress. If your mitochondria are healthy, your daily physical recovery drastically improves. The script is suggesting that by week 2 of this protocol, your workouts completely transform because your biological hardware can finally recover rapidly. Finally, we reach the culmination of the whole protocol at day 30. By the end of the month, this biohacking breakthrough purportedly results in life-changing, laser-sharp focus and notably improved skin. The source actually calls this reversing aging from the inside out. The biological narrative they're building here is really interesting. Once that persistent cellular energy deficit is fully resolved and your daily physical recovery is totally optimized, your body can finally stop redirecting its resources just to survive and start spending them on actual cellular repair and longevity. The entire pitch we've unpacked today really hinges on this one core transition, moving you from merely surviving a state of burnout to actively thriving with optimized cellular energy. And to get there, the source suggests integrating a really simple daily schedule to support the protocol. It goes like this. Start your morning with immediate hydration and sunlight to set your circadian rhythm. Then, take the CoQ10 and PQQ optimization stack with your first meal to fuel that mitochondrial biogenesis. And finally, replace that 2 p.m. cup of coffee with a brief walk. They frame this not as a temporary fix, but as a mandatory foundation for true longevity. So, before you reach for your next cup of coffee to try and fight off today's brain fog, ask yourself, what is actually draining your power plants? Are you just masking the symptoms of a cellular energy crisis? Or are you ready to fix the biological root cause? Take a second to really think about the daily stressors depleting your ATP. Because understanding this blueprint, that is the absolute first step to truly optimizing your cellular health.